Ooh, it's ghosty season, but in Ghost of Yotei, you are the haunt. I mean, I'd be scared too if some grumpy lady came at me with a salmon-equipped spear. Again. There are, though, a few things in Ghost of Yotei that you could entirely miss for a while, and I'm going to string in some of those things in with a collection of rapid-fire tips that are going to help all playthroughs at all difficulty levels. Like starting with how these patches of stealth grass can actually double as powerful fire traps that can be used to cook multiple enemies with just one single fire arrow. Lure a collection of enemies back into this tall grass, give it a light, and the fire will spread through the flammable foliage, creating a high DPS flame trap. This can be useful especially on higher difficulties because you can quite literally melt some bosses if you get them into the tall grass and then fight them on the edge to keep them in that rapid health loss. Also, a little shortcut kind of, you can keep your thumb on the right stick to aim while switching through your ammo types by just tapping R1. Every time you set up a camp out in the world, notice when you're done resting at it, the game indicates last campsite updated. So if you want to fast travel all the way across the map to upgrade some gear or something, you can immediately then fast travel right back and continue exploring directly from where you just were, since a campsite also functions as a dynamic fast travel point that you can set almost anywhere. Holding down on the D-pad will consume a bottle of sake if you have some in your inventory, which quickly refills your spirit gauge, but this also leaves a usable empty sake bottle on the ground that you can pick up and throw. If you're actively in combat and drink sake, it'll actually keep the bottle in your hand instead of dropping it, so then you can just throw it at someone to deal a decent amount of stagger damage. For this, I recommend one of your first wolf upgrades after you get the wolf song call, that's a good one, is to unlock the wolf strike summon. This gives a chance to summon the wolf into battle anytime you throw a weapon or a sake bottle. So, since you have a sake on you that you can use to conjure a throwable bottle at any time you want, this also turns it into a possible utility to call in your wolf to the fight. Or if you're going more of a stealthy playstyle, drinking a sake can be used to spawn a bottle whenever you need one, to toss as a distraction or to move enemies to where you need them to be. Now, the sponsor of today's video is Monster Hunter Outlanders, and as a big fan of the Monster Hunter series, having featured it numerous times on my channel, I'm genuinely interested to see how Outlanders plans to expand on the formula using its new facility construction. It seems like in between hunting monsters, you go out there and scavenge for resources to construct things like buildings or tools to help you get around the map, and what seems like monster siege equipment? Alright. Also, palicos, the little cat things, are no longer your only helper buddies, because there's two new species of creatures that will assist you in different ways than what the palicos could. But co-op hunting squads also gain abilities like the new co-op skills, which trigger for the entire team all at once. There's the online co-op for up to 4 players, but also a single player mode, so each are in there depending on your playstyle. There's a lot more to get into, but I'm going to keep this brief. Monster Hunter Outlanders is coming to mobile, and you can pre-register for the closed beta right now using the link I have down in the video description. I'm on that list, but it's free. Try it for yourself, form your own opinion, let me know what you think. Next, there's a fun combo you can do using the shoulder charge and the concentration skill. While sprinting, if you tap circle, you can shoulder check to launch non-brute enemies up into the air, but if you immediately hold L2 and click in the right stick, you can chain directly into the slowed time concentration with a ranged weapon. Easy way to break enemies out of their attack patterns and set up for a nice little head modification. Enemies with shields can be pretty annoying at first, but the flaw of wooden shields is that they are flammable. Anytime you see a shield, if you just use a single fire arrow or any other fire attack, that shield will burn and break, leaving them open and vulnerable. Useful prior to unlocking the melee weapon that's effective against shields. While aiming ranged weapons, your character's movement is pretty slow on the ground, but if you jump and use the slow-mo concentration skill in the air, you can move around faster as a bow user. This type of aerial playstyle synergizes well with the charm of soaring focus, which gives you infinite slow-mo concentration time while you're in the air. So if you carefully avoid using up any of your concentration gauge while on the ground, you can continually slow-mo jump shot over and over, having infinite use of that slowed down time. Bow builds are going to love this one because it lets you play fast, evasive, and aggressive, which is otherwise hard to do with a bow when you get swarmed by multiple enemies. Another way to use this is with your horse, which you can leap off of with a press of triangle. This gives you a bit more hang time than your basic jump to use that concentration. Again, it's unlimited if you use the Charm of Soaring Focus. To get this charm, you'll need to travel to the Shadow Inn location, and Ron the Bower will give you the charm after you complete a side quest that can dynamically appear when you re-enter that town. You'll know what that means when it happens. The built-in loadout system has an important function that you might not be using. If you create multiple loadouts for very specific purposes, like one that has your best combat gear, one that has your best stealth gear, one that has all your best range stuff, you can actually swap between these loadouts in the middle of battle. So here I put on my stealth loadout to lower my detection and start the infiltration process, take down as many as I can before I inevitably always get spotted, and hold on, buddy. Wait a second, let me just open this up real quick. I'm gonna just... Okay, I'm now prepared for battle, my good sir. This lets you unashamedly change your clothes in the middle of battle, which means instead of trying to make a single build that's kinda decent at everything, get in the habit of dynamically swapping to loadouts that are perfectly tuned to the exact situation you're in. On higher difficulties, that's even more important. Once you acquire the ability to coat your weapons with a fire buff, this has an additional effect that also inflames any throwable weapons that you pick up while the buff is active. If there's a collection of weapons on the ground, this can be used to turn all of them into fire-imbued projectiles. So a classy flame-imbued flying katana attack confirmed. Like I mentioned, look for multiple throwable weapons on the ground and consider popping your flame buff to turn them into even more powerful ranged damage spikes that carry the fire property. An easy way to increase your overall survivability, especially if you tuned up the difficulty, is to combine the Charm of Last Chance and the Charm of Healing. The Charm of Last Chance consumes some of your spirit gauge to automatically heal you before dying if some spirit is available. Combine that with the Charm of Healing, which increases healing potency while under 50% health, and this makes every use of the Charm of Last Chance heal for more. If you find that surprise deaths are frequently taking you down before you can manually heal, try using one or both of these early game charms. You can buy both of these from Taro the Scavenger, which I met for the first time randomly when he showed up at my campsite, but a guaranteed way to find this vendor is by traveling northeast of the starting area to the Prospectors camp. Then you'll need to go northwest to Dead Man's Tree, fight a few bad guys, and then Taro will sell you both of those charms, the Charm of Last Chance and the Charm of Healing. Many of the enemy outposts have these hanging lanterns that you might not initially notice, but these can be shot to pour out flaming cinders. The best way I've found to make use of these is to lure a group of enemies underneath them, use your white powder throwable to momentarily snare them in place, and then trigger the fire trap on top of their heads. Excuse me, I said medium rare. This is well. Yeah, just take it back, thank you. Early in the game, before you can outright stealth kill larger brute enemies, I recommend buying the Longbow so you can one-shot kill many of the enemies that your assassination skill could only partially damage up to this point. So I suggest buying it as soon as possible along with the heavy arrow ammo capacity upgrade. If you want to freely restock your basic ammo without having to craft or buy some, just find any location that has these free ammo reserves, then open your map, fast travel back to that location to reset it, and fill up your ammo for free. Alright, these dudes that hold lanterns, I want you to start seeing them as red barrels. If you hit just the lantern with an arrow, it'll detonate their entire existence and damage anyone near them. You do not want to be assigned that role in the Goon Squad. There's a lot of burning in this video. I apologize. I might be a video game arson. And last, this is something you might want to consider changing in the options menu, but if you find that you don't like to adjust the camera a lot during a fight or find that enemies often dip out of view, you might want to go into the gameplay settings and turn target lock to enabled or swap on defeat to auto lock onto the next enemy. With this on, you can tap D-pad up in combat to lock the camera to tracking one enemy. Can make some encounters a bit easier to nail precise timing since the camera is more snug up close on the target. Big piles of enemies though, you might want to stick to no lock on. Okay, Ghost of Yotei, Ghost of Tsushima. What do you guys think of the game so far? Living up to expectations, exceeding them, or some other hot take? Let me know your thoughts. Now, I have multiple teams to thank for making this video happen. A big thanks to PlayStation for sending a code of Ghost of Yotei, and a big thanks to Monster Hunter Outlanders for sponsoring the video. Alright, Broketober has just kicked off with a massive win in my opinion. This is a huge game, and I need to progress more, so enough of this video editing for me. I'm Alex, and I'm going back in to escape reality. I'll see you later.